Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today we are gonna go over some more Q&A stuff. We have been getting a lot of questions and I haven't been typing out a lot of answers. I've been saving some of these questions on my phone so that we could do a video reply instead of text reply to some of you. So hope that helps you out and also just lets us generate more content for your viewing pleasure. All right, so if you like this video or any video of ours that you've watched and you're not subscribing, by clicking the subscribe button, we really appreciate it. Also, hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. All right, here we go. So first question, would it be okay to build a flower box on top of AZEK? Got any pointers? Yeah, we do planter boxes every so often on different jobs. I usually try to build them in a shape where I can get a pre-made liner to insert into the planter. That way the dirt and everything doesn't go everywhere. And then some people are concerned about drainage. So what I tell people that want drainage in their planters is to fill the planter full of about halfway full of packing peanuts. You know, poke your hole in the bottom of your planter box, fill it about halfway full of planter peanuts, and then fill the rest with dirt and then put your plants in it. That way it drains off really well and you don't get a bunch of sediment and dirt going in between the deck board cracks and into your joists and things like that. Do you use Dexerdry on low decks that just have rocks beneath? I do not do that. I usually, if I'm doing a low deck, I don't put anything in between the deck board cracks. I don't see a reason why you need to waterproof a deck if it's only a foot or two off the ground. You're not going to be able to store anything under there or get under there for any reason. To answer that one, no, we don't put Dexerdry on low decks. Do you use anything under your decks to prevent weeds? No, not usually. Sometimes a client or a homeowner that's very particular will come and install weed barrier under our decks, and sometimes gravel if they're really ambitious, before we finish framing. Usually, if the deck's low enough to the ground and you're cutting most of sunlight off to any particular space, not much is going to grow under there. Maybe some blackberry or sticker bushes and certain species of roses maybe, but not a ton. Once you cut sunlight off to something, it doesn't grow very well. Do you ever deck with natural wood products or strictly the composites? Mostly what we use is TimberTech AZEK decking. That's my decking of choice. It's what I like the most. We do hardwood decks as well. We just don't do them very often because the calling for them isn't as high as it is for the synthetics. For my area where we live in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains a lot, hardwood and exotic woods still need a lot of maintenance. Unlike other sunny states, maybe where it's not as important, here with all the rain, you still get moisture swelling and contracting and things moving around a lot. So the PVC products that are available to us are the ones I like the best. I'm in Illinois and built a composite deck last spring. Any tips to make it less slippery in the winter? The only thing I can recommend is, if you're talking slippery from moss and mildew, is clean it once a year with a sodium hypochlorite solution, like 30 seconds cleaner or Clorox Outdoor. If it's slippery because of salt or ice, just, you know, pick up some ice melt from your local Home Depot or something like that. That usually works pretty good. It's not going to hurt the decking, I don't think, but always check with your manufacturer and make sure see what they recommend as well. I might be telling you to use something that maybe isn't cohesive with that particular brand. So double check, do your due diligence, and make sure that you're using the right product for your application. How do you make your screw lines and spacing so dang perfect? Practice makes perfect. I've been doing this for 30 years. That doesn't mean I am perfect. Usually we're using a white chalk line to snap off lines. Maybe it's only 4 feet, maybe it's 20 feet, but that usually helps. White chalk erases very easily from PVC and composite deck boards. Blue chalk, not as much. It can stain, and red chalk don't ever use on any type of a surface that's for cosmetic reasons, because it's almost impossible to get out. Resurfacing a deck with joist 24 inches on center. Would you use vintage max boards or add blocking with regular vintage? If it's a dock, that AZEK Max is designed to span 24 inches on center, so I think that's a good option. It's not going to cost you a whole bunch to go 16 or 12 inches on center. It just depends on how much effort or work you want to put into your project. If you're going to be removing old decking, you also have to remove all the screws and make sure that those joists are protected with some joist membrane tape like G-tape to be sure that when you lay down that new decking, because you're putting down a 50-year decking product on what? Maybe a 10 or 15-year frame if it's already been used. So consider that in your overall, how long you're going to be at the residence, how long is that dock expecting to last, and that kind of thing, and then make your decisions from there. Also, I suppose price could be an issue, depending on how much the max costs versus a standard. What brand of helical piles do you use? We exclusively use Masscore helical piles. Give them a follow on Instagram. I'm not sure if they're here on YouTube yet, but Masscore helical piles. Do you ever do timber decks? Not too often. Like I said earlier, we do some exotic hardwoods occasionally when the client, if they're sold on that and they just do not want any kind of a man-made product. I respect that. We can definitely do a timber deck for you, just not very often. Hardwood or composite? Oh man, I'm a PVC guy. You guys know me. I'm into AZEK. I like to heat bend and manipulate product. AZEK checks all the marks for me, all the boxes when I'm looking for something. You know, it is more expensive, but you get what you pay for in life, right? So I just like to prefer to work with something high quality to start with, and then I don't have any issues trying to finish it. Have you ever used the Titan anchors, and what are your thoughts about them? I have used the Simpson Titan anchors. As a matter of fact, the dock that we just buttoned up, we ended up adding some Titan anchors to the bulkhead, which was kind of cool. They're 5/8 and they're all stainless steel, so they make a really high quality stainless steel fastener. They also make them in standard, I believe, carbon or like a galvanized as well. So I have used them and I think they're great. We've also used them on adjustable footings, so I can like put a Titan bolt, back it out a little bit, turn it, tighten it back down to get a certain angle I'm looking for on a base of a footing. So for an elevated post base or something like that, those work pretty good. Is it important to 3/8 gap, composite, double picture frame, or is it just okay to just run tight? Gaps can vary between manufacturers and decking products. I definitely recommend using a gap. We traditionally for AZEK use a 3/16 gap on our edges. As far as butt joints and that kind of thing, if I'm doing butt joints, I still leave the same 3/16 so everything matches. On miters, we do not put a gap in between the miters because they're gonna eventually have a gap no matter what you do to them. So usually we leave that 3/16 gap. You get through these decks mega quick. Well, sometimes we do. Sometimes we don't. It depends on the scope of the build. Some framers say they can frame a house faster than we build a deck, and I say, you're amazing. So the whole thing here is, regardless if you think we're speedy or not, I'm never in a race. I want to see production, don't get me wrong. I want to see production and get to the completion, but I'm never in a race to do it. I don't think it's the proper way to build. I don't think being in a rush does anything for you. I've cut my thumb off almost completely being in a rush. I've made big mistakes being too quick. As I get older, I think that could be even a bigger issue. So I just like to take my time, get it done, do it the right way. My next client's still gonna be there waiting for us when we get this job finished. And again, why we do all this on social media, because all my clients can follow me. They know exactly where I am. They know how soon I'm gonna be finishing up the next project and how much time it'll take for me to get to them. What's the best way to run TimberTech above a flat roof sloped to a central drain? I would look at a pedestal system. I'm looking into some aluminum framing systems and a pedestal system that has an adjustable base so you can screw it up or down, raise it and lower it. And the company I'm talking to right now is called Outdoor. They're out of Australia. Hopefully we will be getting some sample products soon to share with you guys. If not, catch it on a future build here in a few months. As a deck builder, what are some not so common tools I should keep in my belt? When I'm wearing tool belts, I'm usually carrying more fasteners and less tools. I'm usually wearing a tool belt on framing days and not so much finish days, because usually when I'm doing finish work, I'm only carrying screws or plugs or whatever, not a whole bunch. But I usually wear a Diamondback tool rig. I have a couple different rigs. I have one for heavy days and I have one for light days. So one has a suspension and one doesn't. It really depends. We're kind of set up that way so we can, move things around, check different items in or out of our tool bags. But, mandatory stuff, I have a Fat Max, a 25-foot Fat Max. I don't like using 30s or 35s because they're too bulky, and I don't often use more than 20 feet of length on a tape. When I do, I'll pull out something else. I use a Martinez square and hammer. I have a couple different utility knives. One's by Tactical Keychains, which is a really great company. Give them a follow. I also use a Stabila torpedo level. What else? Some days I don't wear a bag. I might just be wearing my block loaders. So Block Loader makes some really cool pants with pockets and shorts with pockets that basically will hold everything I need to hold that I would hold in a rig. So you kind of get used to wearing those pants, except on rain days when it's pouring down rain, their rain gear doesn't really have the pocket option. So just depends on the weather and what I need to carry. All right, starting my apprenticeship tomorrow. Any tips? Yeah, man. Be willing to participate in any task as long as it's safe, and whoever's asking you to do it, just be willing to do whatever it is. It doesn't matter how remedial or how simple, if it's sweeping, whatever it is, you know, they're paying you to do it. So it takes time to work your way up the chain. It just doesn't happen overnight. Always be 5 minutes early. Here's my motto: if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. And it doesn't hurt you to take 5 additional minutes out of your day to leave a good impression on your boss. It's probably some of the most valuable information I can give you. Be willing to show up 5 minutes early, and be willing to stay 5 minutes late. Just because it's windy and we gotta put an extra tarp down or lay a couple extra tools down on the tarp or wait just so things don't get broken and blown apart for the next day, be willing to do that little extra. That little extra step will go a mile with the employer. And another thing is, if you're on a big team, a big crew, try to identify who your supervisor is and take direction from them. Try not to get caught up in doing too much for too many, you know, unless that's your job. Try to stay focused on the task at hand and try to identify with the person that's in charge of you so that you can just remain with an open line of communication with them. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hey, don't forget to click that subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. And don't forget to leave a comment below and like our videos. We really appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.